Hey guys, welcome back to another one of our Monday podcasts. This one, I'm always excited about doing these. You always make it that much more interesting for me. So you guys, this is my friend Chris Ashton from Ruffian Cars. You've heard us talk about him. If you watch the main channel, you've seen us shoot every one of Chris's cars except for the most recent one, which we're just waiting to get to that one.
I know. Yeah, it takes too long to get them to the point where we're super happy with them and ready to hand the keys over,
Yeah. But it's cool though, because every time, I think about that one, dude, and every time we've shot one of your cars, and there's even been times where cameras aren't rolling or anything, and I've had the keys to the OG Mustang. I've had the keys to the glorious Galaxie. Mm-hmm. But when you get it to the point where you say this car is complete, it really is you build drivable cars.
Yeah. I mean, I that's my background, right? Like I've autocrossed for, at this point, almost 30 years. And we get into it a lot more, but I think it's ever since I was growing up, I've been like hyper focused on the functionality of the cars, how things work mechanically and why, and what's cool as a result. Yeah. So that's, I would say is for me is the functionality of the car, the way the car feels when you drive it is, for me, that's like 70% of the build as far as importance goes. And then the rest, the looks, honestly, is, the aggressive looks of the car are a result of us trying to hit that performance level.
Yeah. Which goes to, you guys, you got to love my friend Chris has a very interesting, you're one of those guys that just thinks really deeply about stuff. And I love that you showed up this prepared. Chris brought things he thought would be interesting to dig into. But the conversation we're having right now really does lead to this, which is, there's some really good ones. These are going to be fun, dude. But Ruffian Widebody doctrine.
Yeah.
Because every one of your cars is wide, and I think I understand well why, but why don't you, it's not, like you don't do it because, hey, let's make it look cool by widening it.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, it started with the OG, right? With the 70 Mustang that I built myself in my garage. I built for me, not for a shop, not for anybody else. But coming from autocrossing, I wanted as much tire, front and rear, as I could get. Mm-hmm. And in the Mustang, without modifying the front fenders, even if you have aftermarket suspension, if the inner fender is factory, you can fit 275s maybe.
Yeah.
So, and I'm running 315s now, which means, the only way to do it is to put a big old fender flare on there. Unless you get into what we're doing on our 69, which is a narrowed frame, so then you can make room. You can make room inside the car or outside the car.
Yeah.
And most of it's way easier to do outside the car because you're not swapping a whole chassis, to do it. But it's because of the grip, wanting the grip levels first, performance first, right? And then, I mean, I think the wide body stuff looks cool, but I wouldn't have done it. If the Galaxie's kind of a good example where the Galaxie, it does have flares, but they're not crazy. They're not sure. They're not like big giant ones like the 70 Mustang.
Yep.
But that's because that car's so wide originally from the factory that we're running 325s up front and
in the front. That's crazy.
Front, yeah, and there's room.
Look at that.
So the little bit of a flare that's there, it had to be there at full compression, at full lock.
Yep.
To cover that tire and have kind of an overhang, like have the look be right.
God, that car's so special, dude. Yeah. That do you I'm curious, do you have a favorite of what you've built, or do you love them each? And you do?
Yeah. I mean, that the Galaxie is my favorite build so far. I think the Plymouth is slowly coming along.
Yeah.
You know, and I think there's potential for the Plymouth to be close or, you know, who knows, maybe surpass it, but it's not something we don't build the car and then you don't instantly know what it's like. You don't know its personality. You don't know how reliable it is. You don't know how fun it is. Like that stuff takes time. You know, it takes miles to figure that stuff out. So I think we've got the Galaxie. I mean, it kind of is reflected. The Galaxie has more miles at this point than I think any of the other cars do.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's just because, like, if I can drive one, if I'm going to go to a Cars and Coffee or something, I kind of prefer to take that one. So
I don't blame you. I mean, having driven the two I've had the most seat time in, I would have to say, was when we were not shooting. The one day you asked if I wanted to drive the 70, the OG, which was just so cool because when we shot, I didn't actually get to drive the car. It was so fresh at the time.
Yeah.
And to sit, you know, to get to sit in it by myself, nobody, you know what I mean, dude?
Yeah.
And no cameras or anything, like just actually going for a drive. That was a real joy getting to drive that car. It's crazy how good that car is. And you technically weren't a car builder yet. I mean, you were because you built that car, but you were still in the game industry at that time.
Yeah, I think a lot of that just comes down to research and carefully picking, you know, a company whose parts, you know, what parts am I going to put on the car?
Yeah.
It's you have to be careful with that stuff because you're putting, you know, anytime you're building like a pro touring car, it's a Frankenstein of parts. You've got somebody's brakes, you've got somebody's control arms, you've got somebody else's radiator and somebody's transmit, you know, it's a mixed bag of parts and sometimes that can go wrong.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. And things not compatible or they don't work together. They don't fit together. They rub or whatever.
Yeah.
Know? So the 70 Mustang, a lot of that I attribute to Streeter Track. They're a small company and they make bolt-on suspension for the unibody Mustangs. But the one thing that I really liked about them, a lot of companies make new front suspension or they make new rear suspension, but Streeter Track, they make a complete kit, front and rear. And I just felt like that made sense to me. Like if I upgrade the front and I don't upgrade the back or vice versa, or if there's a certain amount of grip in somebody's front suspension that isn't mirrored in the rear suspension, then the whole car's off balance, right?
Yeah.
So it made sense to me that I would find a company that did the most, had the most parts.
Yeah.
Could do more of the complete package. So the Streeter Track, you can get front suspension, rear suspension, the brake systems, the steering, the cooler, the radiator stuff. So I went with them and their stuff works.
Yeah.
And we used it on the 67 Mustang as well. And that car is great.
Yep.
So we've used it on two Mustangs. But the nice thing about that stuff is that it's bolt-on, you know, so you can make a old Mustang perform really surprisingly well.
Yeah.
Just with swapping out suspension components rather than putting in a whole new chassis.
Right. Interesting too, because that's a company, I got to be honest, dude, I've never heard of them, and you've heard of. There's so many of the so-called go-tos, like bolt-on stuff, being Hotchkiss being one of the original ones. And so that's a lesser-known company out there that produces, obviously, something that's really great.
Yeah, I think the thing for them is that, as far as I know, they just do the old Fords. They basically anything that was Mustang related, right? So they'll do they have Falcon parts and stuff, but it's all the same components. They just fit on multiple Fords.
Yeah.
So I think that it's the tough thing is in the aftermarket world, Chevys are way more common.
For sure.
And the Fords, it's weird because Ford sold more of any of the pony cars. You know, they sold the most. But then nowadays in the aftermarket world, the Mustangs are modified potentially less.
Yeah.
You know, and I know from talking to Anvil Auto, the number of carbon parts they sell for Chevys versus Fords, they sell almost nothing. It's like a quarter, quarter to one for Chevy stuff versus Ford stuff. But
sure. Well, you see it when you go to a Cars and Coffee,
Chevelle,
or like
Camaro.
how we go to the Cruise and PCH every month. That's
apparently a lot of that stuff is due to the way Chevrolet built those cars versus the way Ford did. Ford built unibodies, and so you just if you want to make really big changes to an old Mustang, you basically have to cut apart the floors and everything and start with a new chassis and go up. But if you want to do it with a Camaro, the whole front suspension, the whole front K-member part of the chassis, it unbolts.
Yeah.
Which allowed the aftermarket to make front and rear components that are effectively new frame rails and stuff that have new pickup points for shocks and everything, new geometry, and it bolts on.
Yeah.
So the guy at home working in his garage that doesn't have a welder can just bolt that stuff up and do it quickly. And I remember I didn't realize how powerful that was until I went to, it was a Grand National Roadster Show like a couple of years ago where they had somebody there, a small crew there that took a factory Camaro.
I remember that.
And they swapped it onto, they put a modern engine, transmission, chassis, new suspension. They basically pro toured a Camaro during the show.
Yep, and with multiple different people working on it.
And had it running by the end of the show.
Wow.
Yep, I totally remember that happening. Yep.
Took me 3 years on the Mustangs to do that.
It's I mean, we went down the path on the Mustang, but the what brought it up was as we were looking up there at it, the getting to have that day recently where I got the pleasure of getting to spend a good amount of the day driving the Galaxie. I mean, I never go to the second spot at Cruise and PCH. You usually don't either. It's go to the first spot, hang out, and then go back. And they left it up to me as to whether or not we were going to go to the second spot. And my question was, do I get to keep driving the Galaxie? Well, yeah, of course. Then let's go to the second spot. I mean, if we made a detour to like Angeles Crest Highway on our way, that would have been great.
That was super fun that day because we actually had, I think, 4 ruffians out at the same time. So it was cool to be in one, but get passed by one and be behind one and sort of all 4 of them playing around on the street and stuff was really cool.
Really, really a fun day. And getting to spend that much time in that car. Because if I remember correctly, it's a pretty heavy, isn't it like 3,800 pounds or so?
It's without a driver in there, it's like 39 something, 39 and change. So it's pretty heavy.
You're basically a 4,000 pound car, but it does not. I mean, that car feels so light when you drive it. Not light like scary out of control light, but it feels the movement of it. Every time I describe it, I always say it moves like a shark. Mm-hmm. Like
darty.
You'd watch it the way it moves like a shark.
There's like no body roll in it whatsoever, and the steering is super super quick, and everything's really tight. So there's no slop in the steering, there's no slop in the suspension. It's all heim jointed. There's no rubber. There's not even polyurethane bushings in there. The upper control arms are on bearings.
Yeah.
So it's all made to have. Ron Sutton calls it stiction, as far as like normal ball joints will have stiction. So there's a certain amount of force you have to apply to get a ball joint to sort of break loose and move. The ball joints that are in the Galaxie are all metal, and they have little grooves machined into them for grease and stuff. But they're adjustable, and you adjust them to where there's no slop, but there's also no stiction. So there's like everything in that car is. The whole idea is that if the suspension moves freely by itself, then it allows your shocks and everything else to do the work.
Gotcha.
So that you can tune it better, so that it responds better.
Yeah.
So it's kind of I remember I had a little Miata, a 1991 Miata, and I remember we had an accident with it, and the front control arm got bent. So then I bought a new control arm and I bolted it in. And I remember tightening the the suspension bolts, and the control arm wouldn't move. Like you couldn't move it with your hands. And it was just like the rubber flexing, the rubber joints, the bushings in there flexing in the control arms. And I was like, it's so weird. Like all of my understanding from like, I talk about this too in the cards, but like I grew up playing with RC cars and working on them and making them work better and understanding how cars work through RC. Because RC is like a miniature, everything is there, but it's like in miniature. And everything is amplified. You know, those cars out of the box now easily, like commonly they're 50 mile an hour 10th scale RC cars, right?
Yeah.
In scale, that's like 500 miles an hour, right?
Yeah, right.
So everything is there, but you know, you've got upper control arms, lower control arms, you've got different bushings, bearings. You know, cheaper kits have bushings. You swap them out for bearings, so there's less friction. You know, so the cars go faster and they handle better. And you've got steering and brakes and a motor and you know as much power as you could possibly have, but you don't ever have enough traction. You know, so then you're stuck in this world of engineering where you're trying to figure out how you can put more power down instead of a faster motor, because faster motor is not the problem.
And you're doing this as a kid.
Yeah, that's why I had this realization. So we're building a lobby in the new shop.
Yeah.
And the idea is to have like a public-facing lobby where people could come buy merch and visit the shop and stuff. And I've been decorating that lobby with the things that inspired me and got me to sort of building these cars and stuff now. And so there's a bunch of old RC cars and stuff that are up on display in there, because I feel like that was an important part of, I didn't realize it at the time.
Sure.
But in hindsight now, you know, I think that with car culture now, it's easy to sort of follow trends and to like people's styles and stuff. Whereas in RC, it's not really about that. It's about performance and it's about
the function of it.
Yeah, the function of it. And you're always tinkering. Like the barrier of entry is so cheap. I mean, RC stuff is expensive, but compared to a full scale car, right? There's no comparison.
Yeah, sure.
Like you break stuff all the time. So then when you break something, you're like, should I get a stronger version of this thing? If there's a faster version. So I bought just recently. Losi makes some 12th scale NASCAR cars ready to run out of the box, $200, right? And they're not like the Radio Shack special or like Toys.
Like they're actually good.
They're actually like good quality stuff, and it's so affordable. And I bought one. They had 9 different body styles. So I happened to have 9 builders at the shop. So I bought 9 of them, and those got delivered last week, right?
Oh my God, I can imagine you guys.
So there's been every lunchtime and every 6 o'clock. It's just a bash session, right? And the guys are out. There's 9 RC cars just bashing and racing and stuff.
Imagine.
But Kale, his battery stopped working, right? So then he's like, I need a new one. I'm like, well, you could warranty that one. He's like, I'm going to buy a bigger one. I'm going to buy a faster one, you know? And it's like now the arms race is starting. And
of course.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
You guys are all going to be modifying your cars now.
Yeah. So, I mean, but that's the cool thing about it. You learn all of that stuff and you're building these RC cars as a complete, it's easier to picture as a complete platform because you can modify everything.
Yeah.
There's so much aftermarket support for any of these RC cars.
Yeah.
You can buy different shocks and different springs and oil weights and sway bars and like it's all the same stuff.
Wild.
But if Kale gets a bigger motor for it, does he have to upgrade the chassis on it? Because I was looking at one of these cars right here, and you're talking about horsepower is not the big. The engine can tell you how fast it could go, but the chassis tells you how fast it will go, right?
Yeah, so funny thing, just this weekend, Tim got a new battery, and he got it that's way more capacity and a bigger discharge rate, right? So his acceleration is quicker, not the top speed because the voltage stayed the same. Because of if you upgrade the voltage on the battery, a lot of times you have to upgrade your speed controller.
Okay.
So he just did one part, not the other part, right? So he got this battery with a ton of capacity and better acceleration, but it's heavier, right? So there's a cost to it. So we're out in the parking lot and racing, and he's got understeer problems because of the extra weight in the chassis, right? So now he's trying to figure that out.
Right.
So and you're used to that in the RC world. For every performance gain, there's a sacrifice, there's a cost, right? And it's the same thing in real cars. You know, the Galaxie rides kind of stiff, and that's because it's more built for the racetrack.
Yeah.
So there's, it's good to understand the give and take of everything when you're building a car. And from the RC standpoint, we plan for the Galaxie as a whole package. What's the complete package? What's the suspension that complements the chassis, that complements the engine and the transmission, and the interior? And you have to think about it all as one big picture.
Yeah.
And not take, it's very easy. I think even for myself growing up, modifying my own cars, it was like one piece at a time. You don't have the luxury really of designing top down and saying, okay, I'm going to build this whole car from scratch and I'm going to pick and choose all these parts.
Sure. You don't have the time, the energy, the tools, the
money.
I've
had cars that I've worked on periodically over the course of 7 years, and it sort of meandered, where it's like the look is this way once and then becomes this thing another time or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think naturally a lot of people getting into hot rodding, they're not used to the mindset of like a systems-based engineering, designing a car to function.
Totally agree.
Sort of like headlights to taillights and all.
Totally
towards
agree,
a
dude.
theme.
Yep.
Yeah.
I totally agree. I think it's one of the. I think there's a handful of builders I can think of off the top of my head, and I'm sure there's plenty of them that I don't know that I've not experienced yet. But too many of I've said it a lot. Is there's the lack of cohesive from front to rear of the car. Not just look, but also how it drives down the road. It's like one of the things you mentioned in your cards here is I've said it so many times in our videos where we've gotten to this time now where however much power you want to make, you can do it. And it doesn't even take really a lot of work. You got to spend some money on it, but you want to buy just a simple LS3, a crate performance that's 525 horsepower, but you want that car to be 1,000 horsepower, you can do it with that engine, and you don't really have to do much to the engine. Add some boost to it, add this, that, boom, you're 1,000 horsepower. Cool. How good does the car drive? What have you compensated in all the areas that need it to,
Yeah, I mean, when you look at racing, so that for me, because we're so inspired by racing.
Yep.
I remember at some point looking up the stats on like Trans Am cars and finding out that they were like 500-ish horsepower.
Yeah.
And being kind of disappointed because I thought that they were, I expected the number to be like 1,200 horsepower or 1,500 horsepower. The race cars, they sound amazing driving down the racetrack.
Yep.
And it was like that's supposed to be the best of the best. Like, how could they be doing that with so much less power than what people are running on the street?
Oh yeah. Yeah, sure.
But when you get into that, it's so much more than horsepower numbers, right?
The 500 back then was like 1,000, right?
Well, but even you think
Even
about
now,
it even now. Look at sports car racing, is it? Because that's my favorite form of racing. Typically leans in the GT3 class of racing.
Yeah.
And these are cars that are mid 500, leaning at 600.
Still, huh?
That's it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, even like the GT350 now, right? That's a track-based car, only 525 horsepower, right? They didn't add some crazy number to it.
Porsche seems to be one of the few that aren't that don't care really to get into the horsepower wars with everybody else. Like
for sure.
But yeah, even on the GT cars, like the Lamborghinis with the V10s on the street, 640 horsepower, and race trim like 610.
Oh, they drop it.
Oh,
But the chassis is way more built and stiffened and all this kind of stuff.
It is, yeah, and it's fully caged. And in some instances, you can actually get into scenarios where the race car is actually heavier because of all the cage tubing and everything, you know.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
but they're obviously now some of it's like rules based and trying to make all these different cars competitive and stuff. So some cars may have to bring the horsepower down, and other manufacturers are allowed to make more horsepower and stuff like that.
Sure,
So
they do the balance of power
it's
thing.
super complicated.
Yeah.
My point was like, I look at racing as like sort of the top of the hill, right? As far as king of the mountain, as far as like performance is considered.
Yep.
But then typically you're not seeing twin turbo like LS 1500 horsepower. You're starting to see a lot of it, which is really fun in the time attack stuff.
Right.
Where there's like not really rules.
Sure.
And that's been pretty fun.
Yeah.
But then you also see that the aero on those cars are absolutely
bonkers.
Bananas. Yeah.
And they're also like, you know, I've seen it in a lot of these scenarios too, where you're building full race car like that. So you're typically running a Motec or something that falls in line with Motec. Now you're also dialing in traction control.
Oh yeah.
Which that's game changing. I mean, I can tell you from experience with Frankie's Grand National that we had shot a number of years ago, and recently we shot a Camaro, and the guy was making 1,200 horsepower at the tire, but he had traction control dialed in. He said he allowed for 5% wheel spin. It's genius. Now you got a car that he wasn't modulating throttle at all. He was nailing it.
Yeah.
And the car was mildly spinning, but it was, hooking and going.
The modern electronics, all the aids and stuff,
Yep.
if they're done right, are a game changer.
Yep.
In the motorcycle world, it's been...
Oh my God.
It's
How high do you want to wheelie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
mean,
Ducati, their electronics and wheelie control and stuff, there's like nobody's even close.
Yep.
Have you done
their
that on
level.
your bike? Don't you have wheel control on one of them?
Yeah.
You've done it?
Yeah.
So you just pin it and the wheel comes up and it holds it right there, and then you let off the throttle and it comes down. So it's like a safe wheelie. It's like wheelie with training wheels.
Yeah.
So sick.
You can shift gears and not in the front end.
Do you
won't
hit
come
the
down.
clutch or no? Do you just
No,
power
because it's
quick shift, quick.
Yeah,
pull.
it's quick shift.
So you're wheelie up shifting.
Yeah.
That's so sick.
Bom, 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 like
I want to experience that because you could just pin it and you're not going to loop. It'll just
Right.
hold right there.
Right. Yeah.
That's cheating.
I had
it's a great cheat.
Yeah.
I want to see Chris do this.
Yes, I want to see that too.
I had like a 2002 R1. It made 152 horsepower, and it was terrifying
Yeah.
because it would want to bring up the front end all the time.
Oh,
But
yeah.
there was no control back then, huh?
No,
You're
there's
looping.
no
Yeah.
wheelie control, nothing. Yeah. And then, so I went to go buy this Panigale, this V4, and I was just lusting over the way that they look and the way that they sound.
Yeah.
And also just like, but that bike's 215 horsepower. And I told the guy that I've known this guy for 20 years that is selling the bikes, and I was like, honestly, I said, I'm intimidated. I said that I feel like I should be the 120 horsepower range is good for me.
Yeah.
Like 152 is terrifying.
Yep.
I can't even imagine
215.
250.
Now we've just added
But you
it,
have
yeah.
all the gizmos and electronics to support
He
your
said
215.
honestly, this bike will be way less scary than your
Yeah.
R1. Your R1 was like the peak of like super dangerous, super sketchy,
Like raw.
sport bikes.
Raw, yeah.
Yeah. So I wound up buying it, and I drove it at like reduced horsepower for a while, and then I would up the horsepower.
How do you
and
do
then-
that? There's like modes on it,
Yeah.
and it changes the horsepower with the mode. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, the bikes are
That's
bikes
insane.
Bikes are crazy.
How much is that bike though?
I bought mine used, and it was 25, I think.
Fuck,
25K.
Harleys are that much, dude. You're getting way more performance.
Oh God. Not
Crazy.
even the same.
Not even the same.
Whole different world.
Yeah, but you
bike.
spend $25,000 on a Harley and it's a fucking hog. It's like a fucking slow bike. You know?
But that said, like mine was, I bought mine brand new, a little over 20. I think it was $23,000. But it does have traction control.
Okay.
It does have ABS. I mean, I grew up in a world where that stuff didn't exist, like GSXRs when I was a kid.
Yeah, you used to grab your front brake and eat shit.
Yeah, grab too much brake and you're
sliding on the ground.
Yeah, throttle too much and it'll just keep coming up and up and up.
Yeah, I'm kind of eager for that stuff to trickle down more into like being able to integrate that stuff into garage builds, because it's, you know, it's like the manufacturers have access to that stuff.
Yeah.
Pretty much any bike you buy nowadays has ABS and stuff, and the prices, you know, it's shocking to me that you can buy it for $10K. You can buy a bike that has all the same components as a car does.
Yeah.
It's like, it's got an alternator, it's got a radiator, it's got brakes and a motor and meets emissions and has all of this stuff, digital.
It goes really fast.
Like the amount of, it blows my mind that for $10,000, Triumph can make that bike and make money on it. And not only them, but the dealer that sells you that bike is an independent dealer that also has enough profit margin to make money selling you that bike. Like,
yeah,
it's crazy. So the cost of those electronics, it can't be outrageous, right? It's just the trick of like adapting them to your particular vehicle. I remember talking to Tremec at SEMA a couple years back, and they had a DCT, and I was like, when can I put a DCT in a Ruffian? And they're like, we could do it now, but the problem is tuning to, you know, because you think about it, it's like slipping the clutch and everything, and they're like the amount of calculations you have to do on the weight of the car and the horsepower and the gear ratios and all, like, their challenge is trying to figure out how do we make it so somebody can put that into any build and make it perform correctly.
Yeah, because I think Frankie's done it on 2 cars now. That's Surf City Chevelle, maybe. You know which one I'm talking about? We shot it before.
You did it on that one, and you did. I know for sure Hondo's Blazer has it as well.
But not when we shot it. These are all
not when we shot it.
And it's taken a long time for them to figure it out, right?
Yeah, a lot of tuning.
Yeah.
Tons and tons
I think it's
and
like
tons
the
of
early
tuning.
days of EFI. Everybody, like EFI was the hot shit and everybody was excited about it, but it was so complicated and difficult. And some people just gave up and went back to carburetors and stuff.
Sure.
But you know, nowadays it's like, it's so much better.
Have you ever heard of the other transmission? We did a 240 that had it. It's out of like the newer G80.
It's the ZF transmission.
Is it ZF? It's an 8-speed, and it's I don't.
It operates very much like it really is like a DCT.
There was another name
in the
for it.
drivability of it, you know, where he had it set up with paddles, and then he also had
HP is what it was, I think.
Yeah,
Sorry to cut you off, but there was
right.
like an 8.
And then he also had the tall stick, and the feel of it feels identical to a DCT or Porsche's PDK. Mm-hmm. It literally feels identical.
But it's not dual clutch, right? It's closer to like sequential in a way almost, but not as
harsh as a sequential.
Yeah.
We'll find the name of it, Chris, because it's I think it's similar to like what my Mercedes has, what modern Mercedes does, where it's not DCT, it's whatever the other.
Yeah, I think he also said that Challengers and Hellcats, the autos use that as well, right?
I know BMW because the one we shot, and this is the bonkers part. He bought it out of a crashed car, but the transmission was perfect. He $600 for the transmission. $600, and then whatever the electronics cost. I mean, less than going and buying the low end of like a Tremec, you know. It was impressive, really impressive. And that car was making 1,100 horsepower at the tire, so the transmission can definitely handle the power.
Yeah.
Really impressive.
DCT is cool too, though. If you can start normalizing putting DCTs in cars, that would be awesome.
I mean, it's pretty amazing, the idea of, you know, I miss the clutch, I suppose, but then again, if you're like you're always looking towards a race application, given your years of autocrossing, that
it varies though, right? Like the 67 is a build that I love, but it's not it's not based on trying to maximize performance as much as it is trying to give you the right feel.
That one needs to be manual for sure.
Yeah.
You actually mentioned something here that I liked. It was nostalgia sucks.
Yeah.
That was a good one. Did you see that one, Sean?
Yes, I did.
Because you remember only the good things, not the bad things.
I know,
so like the Mustang it looks sick going down, but then you get into like the suspension.
We call
and
the nostalgia as like the selective memory disorder.
I like that so much. You only remember the good.
Yeah, because people get upset sometimes that we're cutting up a classic.
Yeah.
You know, even with the Plymouth. Which is like...
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
A car that none of these people actually give a shit about anyways, and they get upset.
Yeah, they get so upset about
that
it.
That car was better, blah, 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 blah. It's like, exactly. But it's going to sit there rotting.
You should have left it alone, sitting in a field somewhere.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Billy Bob around the corner is getting upset.
Billy Bob.
Yeah, but those, the way that any of these cars were engineered with so many restrictions of technology and budgets and all of that stuff. And so our whole thing is like, let's get rid of all the stuff that sucks.
Yeah.
And then let's take the good stuff and try to retain that, right?
Yeah.
And make it even better.
Yeah.
So there's some things like if you look at the front end of all of our builds, the cars are recognizable. We don't change the grille too much. We don't change the headlights too much. In fact, the Galaxie is almost all stock on the nose, except for from the front bumper down, and that's because we had to make those changes.
Yeah, you know exactly what you're looking at.
Yeah, I mean, there you go.
That's a Galaxie.
You know that's a Galaxie, although every square inch otherwise of that car, for the most part, has been...
Yeah, so like the silhouette of the cars, sort of the what we consider like a lot of the... most important styling aspects of the cars we try not to mess with. So we try to retain that stuff. We try to keep the vibe, and be true to it and honor it, but just get rid of all the stuff that sucks.
I'm with you. I don't it's a funny conversation because there's certain classic cars when they're super rare ones, right? Like one that comes to mind is a 69 Boss 429, right? Yeah. It doesn't make big power at all.
Right.
It's not going to be a great driving car compared to like modern components on a classic car, right? It's not even going to compare. But at the same time, I'm the guy that would be like, don't modify that car. There's very few of those. Mm-hmm. There's that part of history that I do like to say, like, retain that history, allow it to exist and go forth for kids and grandkids and generations ahead.
And I think there's I would love to drive one, a real Boss 429, just to say that I've done it, and just to have this weird time warp of like, holy crap, like what was it like on bias ply tires that were this wide,
totally,
with a big block that made gobs of torque down low. Like, it must have been outrageous. So I think that there's fun in that, and I respect it. And we typically try not to start with anything that is rare or collectible.
No, I know. I've seen that with you. You're not doing that.
If we're going to build a new Mustang, I'm happy to buy one was a 6-cylinder from the factory, right?
Sure.
I don't need a Mach 1 or a Boss or whatever to start with. I'm just going to cut it up and build a Ruffian out of it, right? So I just need the starting components and the sheet metal and stuff.
Yeah. I'm with you on nostalgia though, dude, because I know another one of your cards here is about comments, and I spend a lot of time on comments on multiple platforms. I'm engaging with people on our YouTube channel, on our Instagram, and now we've revitalized Facebook recently. So the only platform I don't personally mess with is TikTok, and I see in the comments, and nostalgia is comedy to me when people are getting upset about, like, how dare you do that to a Charger? It's one less Charger on the planet. My brother, there was hundreds of thousands of that car made before.
And what do you think Dukes of Hazzard?
Are
did, too?
you
They
are you
fucking
really
destroyed all
that
those.
upset? But yet you'll drive to the desert and see 40 of them sitting out in the field somewhere, and you're okay with that? Like, come on, snap out of it. Like, what is wrong with taking? Like, what I love what you guys do is you retain so much of the beauty of because design in that time was much better than modern car design for the most part. Is, in my opinion, a bit on the boring side. You know, it just lacks. I mean, it just lacks the creative elements that were there at one time. But you retain the beauty of that classic and get rid of all the antiquated technology, so you got something that's enjoyable to drive. Like, and there's something wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote down the comments because they're hilarious. Like the boys and I joke all the time about some of the comments. I mean, some of those things, I don't know, becomes like pop culture in our shop or something. You know? And it's like, you know, the whole thing is in our name. You know, Ruffian is like criminal or
Rebels.
a bad boy, rebels. You know, and it's like it's been that way since day one. Like I remember putting the fenders on and people being like, oh my God, it's so ugly now, it's hideous, you know, or
putting the LS.
Putting the LS.
Yeah, that's the biggest one.
It's still, somebody was like, I'm going to burn down your shop. It's like I just don't, you do you, let me do me. Like
100%, dude.
There's a lot that I wouldn't, you know, we go to car shows and stuff.
Burn down your shop.
I was like, dude, I have people that work for me that have families. Like,
I mean, my God.
What are you talking about? Like, it's just so bizarre.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it too is, sorry to cut you off. I think a lot of it too is like social media inflation in a sense, of course, like everyone's used to big power and whatnot. Oh, should have twin turboed it. Should have put it.
You should have bought a GTR.
Should have bought a GTR. You should have put a Huracan motor.
Why
in
didn't you
that
get a
thing.
G80? Yeah.
My
So
Tesla
easy
goes
to
faster.
talk, though, right?
Yeah, none of these people actually know what
I
it
think
takes
they're
to build a
bots
car.
too, though. That's one we got to remember. A lot of them are bots,
I'm sure that,
and they're designed to cause
I'm
conflict in
sure
the
that a
comments.
certain percentage,
Sure.
guaranteed.
Yeah.
Yeah, or like 14-year-olds who don't even have a car.
Yeah.
You know, just commenting.
Yeah.
Well, some
Yeah.
of the comments are so creative that it has to be people. You know, I remember some of the ones that are more fresh on the Plymouth. One of the first photos that got posted on there, somebody said what stance? It looks like it's taking a shit.
Yeah, okay, that's human. That's human.
That's not a bot.
That's pretty funny. Like it's just like and
it forever sticks with you.
Yeah, like you said, it becomes
like you're not
like,
mad at it, but like you're always thinking about that.
but it's like you know, and I
look like
think
it
about
shouldn't?
it, and it's like okay, compared to like traditional hot rodding where the front or the rear end's all jacked up.
Yeah.
You know, those cars, the old hot rods, some of them got really, really extreme. Where the body would be this way and the
Stink bug
frame
stance, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
huge tires out back and little tiny tires, right? And we're putting this thing on a Trans Am race car chassis.
Yeah.
It's like it's not gonna sit like a traditional hot rod.
But there's nothing traditional about
But I also
mean,
don't want to see another one of those. The Plymouth you did is like refreshing to see.
Yeah,
I don't want to see another Good Guys Amber Roadster with the big. I don't like that. Who cares? If you followed the nostalgia and what you're supposed to do, that car would suck.
I think the very first video that we posted about it, one of the first comments was something like, "It's nice, but you can buy anything with enough money." And I was like,
You did not buy. Yeah.
like we're a shop that built it. Like if you
From
looked at anything
scratch.
else, we built it. Like I don't understand.
Yeah.
And then the thing that was hilarious about that comment was like 2 comments later from somebody else said, too bad you couldn't afford paint. Because the patina.
Okay, these people are crazy. We
rage
posted the Galaxie on TikTok in the comments. It got like a couple million views or whatever, and the comments were like, "Did he not finish painting it? What's up with the paint job? This thing looks like a kid Crayola and shit.
all that money and for
all
that
that
paint
money
job?
just for $1 million bill, and you can't even finish painting it. It looks like primer.
Yeah.
You can't explain anything to these people. I let it go. I'm just
fine,
like, whatever.
but it's like it's fun for us to sit around and
What's
joke
crazy
about it.
too is like when I'm scrolling and I see something, and I think, you know, obviously everyone has their own thoughts on whatever. I don't ever think about taking the time to comment
And
on
hate
a
on
post,
something.
and it's
That's what
sense,
always,
you know.
If there's anything that upsets me about some of the comments, it's just that when they're really bad is just like, I can't believe that somebody took the time to, I'm going to enter a comment. I'm going to say
Totally
this.
agree.
And I just have to believe that they're miserable.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that, dude, because there's one that stood out to me was, you guys are familiar with that guy, Gary V?
Yeah.
You know who Gary V is?
I don't know.
Okay, so Gary V, I find him to be really interesting. Social media influencer at this point, big media company. And I just like him. I think he's a really smart guy. I can't remember if he's New Jersey, New York, whatever. So the way he talks is basically like, go fuck yourself. I don't care. Mm-hmm. And something I found really interesting was he was giving a talk and where he interacts with the audience, and somebody from the audience said to him, how do you deal with the negative comments? And he said, well, the way I look at it is you just took 10 minutes to watch a video I put up, and now you're going to take even more time to make a shitty comment? Your life sucks. And that's how every time he sees a negative comment, he's like, your life sucks. And I think that oftentimes, because there's just like you just said, bro, I've plenty of times I'm scrolling, you see a vehicle, you're like, God, that's fucking hideous. Cool. I'll scroll to the next one. I'm not going to now take more time out of my day. I mean, my God, but
the way I go about it is like, at least I'm out trying to put out content. I'm trying to do something. You know what I mean? Like you're out there doing something. A lot of these guys have never tried at all to produce anything.
Some of them too, but some of them you're like, what world do you live in?
Yeah,
because like one of them was this guy on the '67 Mustang. We were posting pictures of the side scoops, and we made them functional, right? So they're kind of big and they draw air to the rear brakes. And he was like, how do you keep birds from making nests in there?
What are you thinking?
I was like, what environment are you in? That's your first question?
That's the first thought. That's crazy.
So crazy.
Somebody else.
Break real quick. I have to use the restroom.
Sure.
Like I can't explain, but we'll come back in on this, and I want to dig in on some more of these. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Referring back to your cards, dude, because I'm curious to hear, given that you put thought into it, like as to why car shows, why awards don't matter to you, but it's not just a blank statement without thought. You took that home and went, why is it?
Yeah, there's a couple things there. One, we just were at the Grand National Roadster Show, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
And as I was walking around there, like I enjoy walking around looking at the cars and seeing what other people build and being inspired and stuff. Super cool. Mm-hmm. But like I was thinking about people, obviously people are talking about awards and Amber Award and this and that. And it's just like, I'm like, I could care less.
Yeah.
Like I really don't.
You know what I've noticed too? I feel like the car that ends up winning is not the car that everybody was talking about. It's all political in a way, You'll know what the best car is by talking to people and hanging out and you coming up with your own judgment on it,
So kind of having that thought at the show, like I don't care. At all. Like, why don't I care? And then it made me think of, you and I have talked a little bit about, you've always been like, why didn't you enter those cars when you were at SEMA and Battle of the Builders? And I was just like, I don't care. And I was like, why don't I care? And so I sat down and I really, really started thinking about it. And honestly, the big takeaway for me is that I feel like looking at a car that's sitting on display and trying to decide how good that car is at the end of the day, like to me, it's fundamentally incomplete. It's like if the Michelin stars in the restaurants, if they gave stars based on how like the food looked.
On Instagram. It's a Michelin star Instagram restaurant. Yeah.
Like, we went to this restaurant. The food looks amazing.
That's a fucking great point.
Like,
I never thought about it like that.
Point, dude. I love that.
Yeah, but what does it taste like? And so it's like we put so much effort into the functionality of the cars. It has to be the whole package, right? And I think that's why I love Quarantine Cruise, why I love your channel, because, and the same, I've always been drawn to Top Gear and other, anytime people are driving cars and talking about cars, how it makes them feel. Or I always loved Jeremy Clarkson would talk about how shitty and terrible this car was, and then he would surprise you and say, I love it, and it was like, why? And you realize that cars are more complicated than just sort of the sum of their parts or what they look like or what
for sure,
and so I just think that it's kind of a weird scenario, and I get that there's not an easy way to do it. There's other events and stuff that are performance based competitions and whatnot, and like from the car show standpoint, like you're not going to go put a bunch of cars through a grueling test and see if they overheat or whatever. You can walk through there and you can look at some of the cars and you're like, well, that's not going to, like those tires are going to rub, or there was a car there that didn't have a radiator in it, but the car was painted and beautiful and fully assembled and stopping traffic. Everybody's looking at it. And Drew, the youngest kid, he's 18, who works for us, he asked the guy, he was like, where's the... He thought at first that it was maybe like the Plymouth where the radiator was in the back. He's like, where's the radiator? The guy's like, oh, we haven't figured that out yet. And he's like, how? But it's all painted and it's all like, and it's just such a different world than what we're doing. And I think also a lot of what we're doing, if you're performance oriented, also, it's working against you for judging, so all those like super clean engine bays, you don't want to work on that. All the hidden fasteners, it's a nightmare to take apart. All the cars that we build, we also maintain. So, I'm the one that's got to crawl under a car and change the oil or whatever. So, and we bring in that racing mentality, like the race cars have to be fast and perform, but also there's a decent amount of time spent on what happens if we bash a fender, what happens if we blow an engine, like how quickly can this stuff come out and go back in, right? It's the opposite end of the spectrum for a car show where they're judging, So I feel like car shows judges are judging the cars like they're furniture. You know? And it's like, but that's not, when I was a kid, so Dad used to take me to a lot of these big, like national hot rod shows where there'd be thousands and thousands of hot rods. And we'd walk around there and he would tell me like, oh, that's a supercharger and this is what it does. And he would kind of, all the things that he thought were cool, he would communicate to me. And they were all really based in performance. A supercharger is cool because it gives you a bunch of power, but you can't see that at the car shows. And it wasn't, when I got a little bit older, we started going to vintage car racing and stuff, motorsports events, drag racing, Top Fuel, nitromethane. And it's like, then I could see, oh, this is what a supercharger does. This is how it sounds. This is what it, this is how powerful it makes the cars, right? And
makes you look at it differently.
Yeah, it does. And I'm so much more appreciative of it from the motorsport standpoint because it all has to work. Yeah. And you were talking about having gone to King of the Hammers and how like that you cannot see something like that and not come away impressed. From a mechanical perspective.
Oh my gosh, yeah. No, I go to what I'll say 2 car shows a year, and that's all. I've been over car shows for ages because I don't get excited looking at a car parked. I go to the grocery store. There's a lot of cars parked. I don't need to spend money to go see a bunch of cars parked. It just doesn't excite me. I go to Grand National because I run into a lot of friends there. Mm-hmm. It's a great networking. I genuinely, mostly that's what I do is hang out with friends. And I go to SEMA, and SEMA again is a lot of friends that I get to see once a year that are from all over the country, all over the world for that matter, Yeah. And you get to see a bunch of stuff that you wonder how that goes. Like this last year, seeing the car that stands out the most to me besides the 35, because I know I'm fairly intimate with that car, was the HWA Mercedes. I looked at that car and went, ooh, I wonder how that thing drives. After walking through it all and understanding the technology of it and how much engineering and thought's been put into it.
Yeah, if you watch the videos, the YouTube videos and Instagram and stuff, the amount of testing and engineering and it's I was laughing because this morning, so we spent the weekend, we worked over the weekend and we prepped the Galaxie and the GT40 to go to Europe. So this is a big deal for us. It's
so you're going to send those?
They're going tomorrow.
Wow.
Holy shit, dude. For Ultrace, is it?
Yeah. Well, we're doing two. We're doing one in Germany and one in Poland.
Yep.
And so
the Germany one's the one. So I know Chris from Chrome Cars had a lot to do with bringing that one together.
Yeah. So we're working with C-Tech on that because we had such a good time with them and the team and everything. It was so good.
Cool people.
Just the vibe between us, the Ruffian crew, and C-Tech was so good.
Yeah.
That I walking away from SEMA, I was like, if there's anything we can ever do to work together or something in the future, I want to do it.
I love that.
Is the whole crew
because I
going
love
out
them.
too?
I don't know. It's so early. It takes 6 weeks, I think, for the cars to travel on water. So we had to go ahead and just get the cars out. And then we're figuring out sort of travel and all that kind of stuff afterwards. But we spent the weekend, just something that, like on the Galaxie, it's got this flat belly pan under it, and we've got tow hooks front and rear, which is race car. But aside from that, there's nowhere to strap to that car.
And now you're putting it out on the ocean for 6 weeks.
Yeah, so we spent the weekend welding attachment points for straps to the chassis, to the frame rails. And the good thing from that is that we have a dyno now, right? So we can run stuff on the dyno, and I want to run all the cars on the dyno and see if there's any adjustments that we should make or anything. But if we had tried to run the Galaxie on the dyno, we would have quickly discovered that there's not really good attachment points.
Yeah.
So I was kind of laughing and joking with the boys. I'm like, why can't we ever be done with any of these cars? Like they're always back in for something. And when you look at something like the HWA, like all that effort into that vehicle, how much testing and versions of cars, this is whatever the prototype number 3.
6. I think they're on number 6 or 7 prototype now.
Right. So when we build one off, and we want it to be good, we can't put the amount of time and dollars and stuff that they can into a thing.
You'd have to go crash your Galaxie 3, 4, 5 times for it to be proven manufactured.
So
car.
it's the best that we can do is to learn from each one and learn lessons and try to, so now going forward, every chassis we build is going to have strap down points.
Smart.
Attached to the chassis.
Yep.
So, you're always sort of trying to get better and improve and find areas that, if we have to go back to the Galaxie and adjust a thing, I want to make sure that we get it right the first time on the next car.
Yep.
So there's no such thing as a perfect hot rod. They'll always need, when it's a one-off custom car, it's always going to need something or some improvement.
If they're going to be used, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And the people that buy a one-off car and expect it to be perfect, they're
wrong.
Kidding themselves.
They're just going to be let down
no
over and over. Yeah. I think it's cool though, because you guys are, in the scope of things, really, you're a young shop.
Yeah.
The shop's been in existence after the first 2 cars. How many? Technically the shop starts with the 67 and the Galaxie. Those are the first 2 cars the shop builds.
I hired on the first employees in 22.
Oh, wow.
So we're only
3.5 years old.
Yeah. Fuck, dude.
It's pretty staggering what you guys have accomplished in that time. But of course, they're 20 years from now, you're either still going to be learning 20 years from now, or you're going to be on to something else, because you'd be bored if you weren't learning every single day. I know you, dude.
Yeah, I watched I think it was the most recent podcast. You guys came back to the shop after visiting our shop and we're talking about seeing the Fox and stuff. And you had mentioned that comment that I made about being more excited about the Fox now that the shifter was problematic.
Yes.
That's exactly it, right? It's like, I absolutely love problem solving and having things go wrong and having to try to like, oh, we weren't planning for that. And then we have to come up with something to fix it. Like, I used to be that stuff was really stressful and frustrating. But, you know, especially after the Galaxie and the 67, part of it is with employees. If you did something wrong and now you have to redo it or whatever, like I pay those guys to do it.
Yeah.
So sometimes like if I had personally done that thing, put 8 hours into it, and now it's wrong, it's more painful. Right. But I think with other people to help with a team, it takes a lot of that weight off. Yeah. But the other thing is just that our experience shows us that every time we run into a problem, most times we run into a problem, the end result is better than what it was to begin with. You know, so I use the Galaxie exhaust as a good example. The exhaust is right behind the rear window, in front of the deck lid, and we never planned that. You know, but of the things at a car show, whenever the Galaxie's there and people walk around and look at the car show, of all the things that they could look at and talk about, that's one of the easily the top 3 things that people notice of the car.
Because you've never seen it before, for one. Mm-hmm. 2, why the fuck did you do that?
And it's an interesting talking point. But everybody thinks it's cool. Nobody looks at it and goes,
yeah, totally.
Oh, this is stupid, right? Everybody's like, oh, that looks rad. That's your exhaust. And they get kind of excited and stuff. And it's something that we never planned. It was problematic. Yeah. We couldn't figure out how to get the exhaust back down under the car in a traditional location, right? So it was to the point we had spent days on it. Like, I mean, not 1 minute after the other, but it was just this problem we had been talking about for days. Like, where are we going to how are we going to get the exhaust? And we tried, everybody was throwing ideas out and just nothing worked. And we just had to abandon it, you know, and come up with something else. Yeah. And be creative and have fun with it. And now it's like one of the coolest things of the car. So
by far.
Now it's like, okay, I like that stuff. I like
that's where the cool creative stuff gets created.
It's so satisfying
from the problematic stuff
to sort of face a problem and not know how you're going to get through it. But when you do, it feels really good. Yep. It's like a high. So
no, I saw you with when I sat down in that car and looked at how far forward the shifter mount is, and obviously the easiest way would be pistol grip style, and that would just be so goofy on that car. It would feel awful in your hand. It would be weird. It would just be every form of awful. Mm-hmm. And watching how excited you got about the challenge that creates for you and your guys. I've said it so many times. You have no idea how many times I talk about you and your team, Ruffian Cars. You know, we do. It's a regular thing that we do. And you guys are without a question, you guys are my favorite shop in existence. And what I love so much about what you guys do is that I would have to guess anyways that given your career in the gaming world, so the level of creativity, the level of having to think, God, probably thousands of steps ahead of where you're actually going to land, that level of creativity, and you guys don't exist inside the box. Like there's in the Pro Touring Resto Mod world, there's a bunch of unwritten rules that all the builders build with inside that framework. And I get it because they're building for clients, right? And until recently, every car you've built has been a car you're building for yourself, but I love the creativity of you guys, that you don't exist inside of a box. So all your cars stand out. Every single Ruffian car, you see it, it's a Ruffian car. It's the only other company I can say that's the same in their own way, very different, but is the same, is the Slang, the S Club guys. Because the S Club guys build cars for themselves. they happen to sell them, you know, I mean, people offer them crazy money, but they've always built cars for themselves, and they don't care what you think. If you don't like what they built, I promise you, they don't give a fuck.
They make it very clear.
And it makes for a creative approach versus, like, I remember as a songwriter, dude, and I remember writing, but then I remember getting my first publishing deal and being in Nashville writing, and all of a sudden everything changed. You know, it was like, oh, you don't know the rules yet, do you? Here, let us teach you the rules. And you go, well, no wonder it all sounds the same.
Right.
Because everybody followed this rule book, you know, and it's just the most, and then you call it art all in the same breath. It's horribly boring.
Yeah. We're really lucky to be in the scenario that we're in and have the freedom to build what we want to build. And the nice thing is it has afforded us clients who, you know, the goal was always build exactly what we want to build with no limitations, really. And then have that as a marketing tool so that we attract clients that like what we do already. So we don't have to try to convince somebody to go a different direction, right?
Yeah.
It's like if, you know, and we have in the past had clients or potential clients come to us and they want to talk about a build. They think the cars look awesome. And then they're like, we want a full leather interior and a stereo and this and that. And I was like, did you look at any of the pictures of the interiors of any of the cars we've built? Because we don't do that.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so
we haven't been big on audio either.
Right. So we're fortunate to be able to be choosy with the, you know, who we partner up with and who we do work for. So
for sure.
It's a really good place to be. And I think just been the last several months because I think the last 3 years were very stressful and trying to get a shop space set up and get a team hired. And honestly, a lot of the people that came onto the team had to also be trained, you know, and I trained them myself with the way that I wanted to do things. And we're just at that point where I don't have to do that anymore. And now we were able to attract talent that has, you know, new people that do things that I don't know how to do, you know, and so they're able now. The employees are taking it further than I can, which is amazing. And so we're just at this point now in the last 6 months or so where I'm able to take a breath and take a step back and start to enjoy what we're building and what Ruffian is. And it's really cool. I mean, I get these every now and then, like these moments. We had Andreas was visiting us. He's a guy who works on the concepts with us.
Yeah.
But he was visiting us because he's not in the U.S.
Yeah.
And he was like, it was like his last weekend here. And he was like, oh, I want to take the cars out. Like, could we go take a car and go somewhere? And so we wound up like, same thing, like we grabbed three of the Ruffians, and there was no car show to go to, no cruise, we drove them because it was fun and because we're a bunch of friends, you know, and we went out, we cruised down PCH, we went to the beach, we went hiking, we did a bunch of stuff, and it was always getting back into those cars, you know, after every
You guys
stop.
went hiking and then hopped back in those cars?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
So cool.
Let's take the Ruffian Galaxie hiking.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But oh man, like, you know, that was like, I don't do that enough. Because we're so busy usually that you know, if it's a weekend, there's almost always a cruise or something. And I feel obligated to like go promote the company and get the cars in front of people.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm realizing like, okay, well, things feel like they're in motion and maybe I can start taking a little more time and enjoying the process and enjoying the end result, you know, some of the cars and stuff more.
That's cool. That's
so
great.
I don't like this trip to Europe. Who knows? Does it matter to Ruffian? Is it going to push the name that, you know, to some degree? I don't care. I got to go hang out with C-Tech. I got to go travel, you know, and see other countries. It's going to be amazing.
Plus you'll get time. I'll bet you'll get time while you're there to go, you'll get time in with Chris from Chrome Cars, possibly even go to the Chrome Cars facility.
Dude, they showed,
which is something to see, dude.
Yeah, he sent me some photos. He was like, this is where your cars are going to be stored. And I was like, can I move in?
Yeah.
Do you guys have
I've been over with them, both the Chrome Cars and SeaTech. I've been over there a few times now. And for one, they're just as cool as it gets. As much time as you spent with them at SEMA, now imagine having multiple days with them out in their world, and they're just such great people, dude. But you're going to get to see some really cool car shit. I mean, I hope while you're there, I hope you get time with them to go to Bretech, which is the company that does all the race prep for Chrome Cars with their historic race cars.
Right. I mean, that's right up my alley.
Oh,
right?
You'll lose your mind. You'll lose your mind.
Want to stay there.
You'll lose your mind. I mean, the one day walking around in there, it was so cute too, because Chris from Chrome Cars understood how much I was moved by this one car. I was standing as I was looking at all these retired Formula One cars. I caught the name on the side of the car, and it was James Hunt. And I was standing next to James Hunt's retired race car, the Marlboro livery and stuff. And nobody was around. They were all off working, and I was standing over here by myself, and I started to tear up.
Oh yeah,
the 80s rock star, and you came out.
Just standing next to a car, I started tearing up, and I was like, "Wow, that's so rad that a car can move you to that point."
Well, there's something
just
I think anytime that you've only ever seen, or like you've seen it on television, or you've read it in text or whatever, but there's no real evidence that, you know what I mean? There's nothing ever been in front of you that really showed you that all of that really happened.
Yeah.
It was real. And then when you see something like that, it's undeniable. I had the same reaction the first time I met Peter Brock in 23 at SEMA, because I just grew up reading about Shelby and Peter, and
there he is, the real guy in front of you.
And the dude's just talking to me.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I wanted to hear what he was saying, but also I couldn't stop my mind from being like, holy shit. Like, this is the guy. And I'm imagining like all the stories I heard, and I imagine him younger and going through all of that. It's just, it's hard to comprehend.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there anyone else who have made you starstruck?
Maybe not to that degree.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big one for me. And now, like, I saw him again at SEMA, and now it's cool. It's like, oh, that's Pete. And we talk. Yeah.
I can't even explain to you how much I loved. So, we're at the SeaTech booth with his car. Peter comes over. Now, I was doing what you had done before, because I'd not met him yet. I know like people that have Doug from Superformance. I know him and Marisa are friends with him. But now I'm the guy standing there. I'm like, it's fucking Peter Brock right there. Like, I'm going to make one foot go in front of the other until I can shake the fucking guy's hands.
Yeah.
And I loved Chris comes walking over. I didn't know you guys had met. I don't know if you even remember this. I didn't know you guys had met. So I started to introduce them. And it was the coolest thing to watch. Like, you could tell how much mutual respect there was right away, because I was within seconds, I was just pushed off into the background. Because it was really fun to see how much you guys, obviously it's a mutual respect that's so obvious. Like, he really respects what you're doing as a car builder and designer.
I think that they're
it's obvious.
It's likewise, right? Like, everything that we do is so inspired by that history, his history, so much that we do. And then I think he can see that in our work, so it's complementary.
Totally.
So he loves it.
Oh, you could see it. It was so obvious.
I mean, he was probably a rebel back in his day, so he probably sees you doing it and he's like, I like that.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, you never know, but he's gung-ho on it. Absolutely loved the Plymouth, but same thing. He can see all the race car parts in it where other people can't.
Yeah.
You know, he sees it right away.
Oh, yeah. His eyes go right to it. All right. So we're going longer than usual, but I want to keep going with this for a minute because let's touch on like the last project right now, which is a current project for you guys.
Here, real quick, let me stop it, swap the drive, and then we'll continue.
Okay. Yeah.
Just I don't want to run into any
Have
complications.
it glitch out on us. Yeah, sure. I get it. Yep. All right. We back running?
I'm recording.
Cool, cool. All right. So this one's not here on the cards. It's funny with you, Chris. It's not a surprise. Usually we try to keep these around an hour, and I knew this would go longer with you, which is totally cool. I love it. But I think it's really worth talking about, given that the scope of this APC build you're doing is so just like there's not another shop that builds an amber competing car or a this competing or that competing. They're not getting called to build an APC from the movie Aliens.
Yeah.
I need to see what this thing looks like.
I mean, it's just so wild, you know?
So this is what you're supposed to put together, right? This is your...
Yeah, that particular image there is a quarter scale model.
Okay.
And it was RC, and they were using it for the film. Yeah, so that's an actual image from the film.
Okay.
But they...
and the original one is built on one of those huge airplane tugs, right?
Yeah, so it was all-wheel drive, four-wheel steering, and it weighed 198,000 pounds.
What? The real one that they used for the...
Weighed 198,000 pounds.
That's the one from the movie.
Yeah, and so they took this airport tug, and so between the rear tires was just a gigantic diesel engine, because you think they need all that weight. Like if they're on wet tarmac and they're going to tow a 747 around, they need all the traction in the world.
And torque for days.
So, yeah. I mean, it had a top speed of like 15 miles an hour. And I don't know what the power output or torque output figures or anything. There's aren't really. But
yeah.
So what are you making the body out of then?
So we have to get really tricky, right? Like for the movies, they don't care. Right? They don't. So the only problem they ran into, so they started with this 198,000 pound thing, and then they dressed it up to look like a sci-fi.
Yeah.
They went into a facility. They drove into a plant, and there was a floor underneath, and all the floors were buckling.
Oh,
so they
my
had
God.
They had to reinforce, because it weighed so much. They had to reinforce the floors just wherever they were going to drive in order to do this in the film. But aside from that, it doesn't need to actually work, right? It's like movie magic and stuff. The interior,
sure.
Yeah, that's a good cutaway there, and you can see the actual engine and stuff in there. Like there's no compartment in there. In the film, the whole belly is open, and it carries Marines.
Yeah,
they have a control center in there with a bunch of computers,
and you can walk through it and stuff.
Yeah, and they can watch and see what all the Marines are seeing, and they use it as a command center.
Yeah.
So we looked at buying one of those to start with, because it seemed like that's what the movie did. That's how I found out that it was 198,000 pounds. And I was like, okay, throw that away. That's out.
Yeah.
So what we're doing is basically making a vehicle that looks like that, but you can actually drive. So
more than 15 miles per hour.
More than 15 miles an hour, yeah.
What do you think yours will go?
60.
Oh, my God. Can you take on the freeway?
That's the plan.
Oh my God, it's huge too, dude. You're gonna trip people out.
So but if you think about it, it's 27 feet long, which is like a Class C motorhome. And motorhomes, a Class C motorhome will weigh 12,000 pounds.
How long is a city bus?
It's probably longer.
Longer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So what we're building is in my mind, we're building a motorhome that looks like a military vehicle.
Sci-fi military, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then do you use that diagram, the one that Josh had pulled up of the interior and all that? Do you use that for inspiration at all, or is that just movie shit?
That was a diagram of the tow rig. In the movie, they have So in the movie, they built a completely different set, right? That was supposed to be the interior, but physically they don't. It's impossible to fit what they had in the movie inside of the vehicle. So the interior is going to be inspired by the film, but reworked to fit inside of the vehicle.
Yeah.
So we're designing it. We had to figure out, like, we wanted to maximize the space in the belly. That's the big thing, right? That's if the client wants to take it to like events and stuff, like expos and stuff like that. So it might go to Comic-Con or something, right? And all these Aliens fans can climb on board and see like the computer monitors and stuff. So the design goal was make it able to drive on the street, and then also leave enough space in the interior as possible, as much as possible. So the power plant and stuff is all back behind the 2 rear tires. We've got some in that gallery. There's some.
And what was that Hummer for?
The axles.
Okay.
So the tires are the largest street legal tires are 58 inches tall that you can get.
Is that it right there?
Yeah.
Oh my, look at Skylar on the
So these are the largest street legal tires you can get, 58 inches tall. And when you think about that and you think about
oh my God,
the driveline and stuff, that was a mock-up. So we have to build everything in the computer first, or we did build everything in the computer in SolidWorks and stuff. So it's all built to scale. It's all built, engineered, tested, and everything on the computer. But still, I think you can look at it on the computer, and you can even put a little model of a guy in the driver's seat. But
let me see Skylar in the driver's seat.
But
that's similar to the model you're talking about.
Yeah, but until you sit in there, you don't really know what it's like, how it feels, whether it's too claustrophobic or not, or that sort of thing. So we built the cardboard off of the model, but the plywood, just to mock it all up before we actually went to go build it, and then find out later, that 2 years later that you're too close to the window and it's super uncomfortable or something.
Yeah.
So So we had to mock it up in plywood first.
Oh my gosh, man.
Oh man.
So that's just kind of the front of it.
Yeah.
But because of the original plan was to use that Humvee and use the suspension from a Humvee. So the second generation Humvee from the military were designed to take armor, and the armored Humvees weigh over 10,000 pounds.
Wow.
Which is what we think this is going to weigh. So the cool thing about that from our perspective was that the suspension is engineered to handle 10,000 pounds. The springs are engineered to handle 10,000 pounds. So let the Army do the engineering for us. And so the original plan was to take all that stuff and just build new frame, that would attach to the suspension in the same place. But once you start digging into it, you find out that the Humvee was built to be off-road, and it has like really terrible camber curves and stuff for a street vehicle. So where this thing's so big and the tires are so big, anything that's going to feel unsteady about it is going to be amplified. So we came to the consensus that we were going to have to engineer our own suspension components, the upper control arms, the lower control arms, and engineer all of that from scratch in the computer for this vehicle so that it could be as safe as it could possibly be and drive as well as it could possibly with those giant heavy tires on it.
Yeah.
So the only thing we're using now is the portal axles. So the portal axles on the Humvee are a 2-to-1 ratio in it. So they multiply your final drive by 2-to-1. So we're already running a 411 rear end in there. Plus our transfer case is a 1.2-to-1. and then the portal axles are 2-to-1. So we're at like 8 point something to 1 final drive.
Wow. So lots and lots and lots of torque to get the thing moving.
Yeah. And the tires, you think about the tires at 50, 60 miles an hour, they don't have to rotate very fast.
Right.
To make
sure.
the thing. You ever been driving down the freeway next to a semi or around town?
Right.
Like I remember as a kid looking over and being surprised at how slow the tires were going on a big rig.
Yeah.
Because they're just their diameter's so big. They don't need to spin as fast to cover the same, and you're in my mom's car with like 14-inch tall tires. They're spinning like crazy.
Yeah, sure.
So it's all built in the computer, stress tested and stuff in the computer. We have our own sort of experience and the intent is to overbuild it. But it's nice to have it built in the computer so you can stress test it and just have it's like a second opinion, right? Of like this will be okay.
Yeah.
But you have to get creative when it comes to the exterior because the fantasy is that it's like a armored vehicle, right? So it's like armor plating is all welded up. So there's not seams and there's not rivets. Like an M1 Abrams doesn't have like rivets attaching the body to anything, right? It's like this. It's thick metal that's all welded to be made one piece.
Yeah.
We can't afford the weight of thick. Like we can't cover the whole body in 1/8-inch plate even.
Right, sure.
So we have to make it look like that, but not be that. So on the Plymouth, the floors in that car are from front to back is about 4 feet long, and there's just a frame on the perimeter, and the floor itself is honeycomb. So it's a thin piece of aluminum on top and bottom, and then aluminum honeycomb in the middle. And that structure it'll hold like 600 pounds or something.
Gotcha. Okay.
But it doesn't weigh anything.
So that's how you're going to make the.
So we'll still have to do sheet metal skin.
Yeah.
So that we can weld stuff together, and then we're going to use the honeycomb. We're going to bond it to the inside of the skin.
And you're making. I remember being at the shop. You have a ton of all different size square tubing to make all your, you're making the chassis, all the structural, all everything is you guys in-house.
Yeah. So this is actually from our SolidWorks screenshot of it in the computer. So all that tubing now is all ordered, and they're building the perimeter, the bottom big part of the frame, building that perimeter right now. But if you look in the back, you can see the engine, and it's a LS based. It's the L8T. It's the truck, the Silverado 2500. That truck can tow. It's rated to tow 16,000 pounds, right? So
plus the weight of the truck itself. Yeah,
so we're going to be right at 10,000, 11,000 pounds.
Yeah.
So that should have. It's coupled with the 10-speed automatic transmission. That's one of the control arms there.
Size of
all built out of steel plate.
Did you guys build those in house, or is that you did? Yeah.
Yeah. So we just have sand cut out the metal, and then we bend it. We have a CNC bender in the shop, and then weld it up ourselves.
Yeah.
That's some of the stress testing there. You can see just how it's deforming the front of the chassis, and you try to make sure that you don't have like hot spots on single tubes or stuff like that. So we had made some revisions to it after the stress testing, but we were pretty close.
How long does it take to get this model mocked up and made on your computer?
I would have to go back and look, but I think we've probably spent a year in the computer. Most of that was one person, and then for the last 4 months, there's been 2 people on it.
Wow, dude.
Both the guys are engineers that went to school as an engineer.
Yeah.
Through that program and stuff. So that's kind of one with the skin on it where you can kind of see through it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's it's a crazy project. So for me, we were just talking about movies, and sci-fi films have always been huge for me, and it's because it gets me, gets my imagination going.
Yeah.
And as old as I am now, Aliens was like when I was a kid.
Yeah, sure.
That was so impactful.
Sure.
And this seemed like one of those once in a lifetime opportunities, you know. So
Yeah.
how many people are willing to put up the money to have one of these things built, you know, in real life?
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot. Like, I don't even need to know the budget. I can start to guess based on the amount of time just on the computer alone before you start buying all the metal and Like, it's a crazy undertaking. The owner is a guy that obviously really loves that film and really wants to have this and has the financial wherewithal to just go, let's do it. Let's go.
Right.
You
and
know,
I couldn't say,
how cool is that?
I couldn't say no.
Is there like an end goal you have for when you want to try to have it finished?
No, it's very like, I can tell you that we made a estimate for the client in the beginning, and almost immediately, like the plans sort of had to be changed and adjusted, you know? So it's like, it's just such an unknown.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't plan for any of that at all. I feel like there's no roadmap, there's no do this, and then you get this. Like,
right. Yeah, it's really challenging. But again, it's that thing. It's like we're learning so much.
Oh, I'll bet.
Through the process. And my thought was if we could build a chassis and a frame for a 27-foot long APC, that we could then go from there and build a chassis and a frame for a performance car for one of our own builds. So up to this point, we've leveraged other people's suspension designs, other people's chassis. But there's kind of a big problem with it, particularly with a whole chassis. And that is that any aftermarket chassis that you buy, I mean, maybe there's some options, but all the ones, Pro Touring chassis, the complete chassis that you can buy, they don't know whether you're putting a cage on it or not. And so they make these chassis strong. They want to improve performance over stock. So they make them rigid without a cage. Then you go to add a cage. Like the chassis itself is already heavy because it's overbuilt, because they're trying to add rigidity. Sure. And then you go add a cage on top of it. It's just extra weight. And now the chassis has way too much metal in it compared to what you actually need. Yeah. So like the 69 Mustang that we're building right now is probably going to weigh 4,000 pounds. And the Plymouth on a tube chassis, a chassis that was designed for a cage, you know, weighs just over 3,000 pounds. Yeah. You know, so 1,000 pounds of difference between, you know, whether or not you're building a chassis for use with a cage or not. It's like a big difference.
That's dramatic. Yeah.
So I think in the future, at some point, we will get to the point where we'll be able to optimize chassis by designing our own. Yeah. I see that. I see you guys. I mean, you're going to get to the point where pretty much everything you can will be done in house. That's what we're just the direction towards. You're headed towards. You can see it. It's beyond frustrating to work so hard on a car for years and get it, you know, to a point where you're trying to go to SEMA or something, and then you got to hand the car over to a different shop, and you've just got to now hope that they're going to also be as motivated as you are and put as much sort of effort into hitting that date as you did and whatnot, you know, and inevitably if things go wrong, then it's always easier for me to deal with things going wrong if I'm responsible or we're responsible. Yeah. It's way harder if it's an outside shop. You know, stuff goes wrong, then it's like you start to blame somebody and have hard feelings. And not that that's been a big thing that we've had happen to us, but the more we bring in-house, the costs come down, the more control we have over everything. So we're trying to do as much in as we can. Yeah. Well, man, we're going to have to do another one of these because I think we only got to a couple of the cards here. But it's we did kind of touch on, I think, all of the themes, though, which was cool. Yeah.
But thanks for, dude. I mean, trust me when I tell you, I know that drive quite well because we make the trek to OC on a regular basis. I was there yesterday, and
I was thinking today on the drive up, I was like, I wonder how many miles you're putting on in a year.
Yeah,
the Autotopia crew.
I put over 20 grand on my car since April.
Yeah,
of last year. Yeah,
that's wild.
We do pretty.
And
good.
then we do OC shoots. We come down and check on the Fox body.
Yeah.
Do it a lot.
Yeah, we rack up the miles pretty good.
I go to San Diego all the time. I mean, shit, we're all fucking going down there a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But thanks for doing this, dude. I was really looking forward to doing this with you. I love the friendship we've built over time, and and watching you evolving as this builder and the team that you have and just the whole thing. I just thank you for coming up and doing this with us.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, I've always been, I mean, you were one of the first people that reached out to me at SEMA in 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so
and
cool.
So, I feel like you're partly responsible for where we're at and what we're doing. And that's why I'm excited to, every time. It was cool to watch your podcast and hear you guys reflecting on the visit to the shop, so positively. It's like, it makes us feel good and get more excited about the project too.
Yeah.
We all love going down there.
Yeah. Our crews get along well.
Yeah.
Like, while you guys are talking about serious stuff, we're all fucking off in the back laughing, making jokes.
Yeah.
It is. It is the synergy between Autotopia and Ruffian, the friendships that have been made, watching the younger guys all vibe with each other. It's just
like when we first met Kale.
Such a cool thing.
So shy. And
Yeah,
now
Kale's
he's like cracking jokes with us. And stuff. Now it's
yes,
awesome.
sir. No, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Well, thanks.
Yeah,
you
thanks
guys.
for coming
Thanks
out.
for watching what we
thanks,
do
Chris.
here.
Bye.
Bye.
Awesome.